Hi, welcome. So in this video, we are going to look at how to create relationships in Power BI. In the last video, we looked at how to be able to use Power Query to do some ETL for our data. But in this video, we are going to look at our Excel data analyst project, which we did in a couple of videos back. There was a customer table, there was a staff table, and a sales table, and there was some links between the customer table and the sales table following the customer code, and also between the staff table and the sales table with the staff code. So I'm going to show you how in Power BI you can do what you do in Excel using VLOOKUP or index match, and what you do in SQL using joins. So this will just help solidify your knowledge and remind you that these tools are just tools, and you just need to understand what you want from them, and there's always a way out in each of these tools. So let's just go straight and look at how to get those relationships in Power BI. So here is our Power BI open here. So we are going to import our file. So here is the file, the data analyst project. And if you remember, if you looked at the project before, there was the customers, there was the sales, and the staff. So let me just open it here for you to remind yourself. So we had staff table with the staff matricule as the primary key, and these are the names of our staff. This was apart, maybe it came from a completely different database. Then we had customers, maybe it came from a completely different database, and this we had the customer code here, the name of the customer, and the country of the customer. And then we had sales. So sales was what we could use to unite all these tables, because we have the staff code here, like this EM01, and the staff code here EM01. So this should be Peter if we do as we did with our VLOOKUP when we're using Excel. And if you want to do the same thing, you use joins. So we did, this is Peter. And then we also had the customer code 019. And if you look at it here, the customer code here is 009. So this is the person here. So 019 customer code. So this person here, and this is the country of the customer. So we were able to use a VLOOKUP to link these different tables together to form one table, and then proceed to do our dashboards. How do we do that in SQL now? Is we are going to go here. First of all, let us take the table. So we want the customer table, we want the sales table, and we want the staff table. So let's first go to transform, because I see there are a couple of things that we need to clean here. So in the last video, we showed you that whenever you go to transform, you want to use Power Query, and most of the time your data doesn't come clean. So most of the time you first need to go through the Power Query, which is clicking this transform here, before moving on to other things, like moving on to the relationships that we want to do now. So let's go to transform data, and then now it's loading. So as you can see, there is the staff here, there is the sales here, and then there is the customers here. So the first thing we want to do is we just want to make sure that the customer table looks like this. In our Excel looks like this, just this, like this. We don't want this part. So let's go there, go back here. Then we remember our Power Query of last video. So let's continue. So the first thing is we would have to remove this here. So we have to remove top row. So here we are going to say we want to remove just one. Here we click on OK. Remember these steps again, we saw in the last video. So if we unclick, if we delete, we go back to that step there. So we go back again, we do remove top row. So you can always go back and look at the last video and continue playing with Power BI, especially the Power Query, which is very interesting to understand how to use. So here we can now, as we saw in the last video, these first rows, use them as headers. So use first rows as headers. So we don't want to do much of changes here. We could split this, split the data to Mr., Mrs., and then use an if and say if it's Mr., it's a male, if it's Mrs., it's a female, just like we did with the Excel exercise, the project. You can always go back and look at that Excel project. It was very interesting. So Excel data analyst project, still in this 90 days of analytics series. So we'll just leave this customer table like this, go to sales, and as we see, sales doesn't look, it looks like it's okay. We can leave it like that. Then go to staff. As for staff, we need to take off, do almost the same thing we did for the customer table, so that the staff table looks just like this, just like that. So we are going to go back here, and the first thing is to remove rows, remove the top row. How many rows we want to remove? So let's say we put 2 instead, and then we notice that we've removed a row that we didn't want to. We can always come back here, double click here, and the step will come back again, and then we correct the step. So these are some of the interesting things about Power BI, very interesting. Then we click on OK. We said we just wanted to take out just 1 row, not more than 1 row. Now we do the same thing again, get this and say we want to use first row as that. So we have matricule, staff name, staff sex. Now let us close and apply. So we are okay that this customers table is okay like this. There might be some certain things that you might want to do, like merging this country with the continent by maybe entering a data, or even bring a new source, maybe going to Wikipedia and downloading a country, downloading a table containing country versus continent, and then you use a merge to be able to merge the two together. So merge maybe the two tables together. So they are really very interesting things that you can do with Power Query. But let's just move on to show you how now to build the relationship to link these 3 tables and be able to plot charts that say maybe what are the profits from this profit or revenue per customer from this table. Or you go here and then you say what is the units sold maybe per staff, or what are the profits or revenue per country coming from this. So without those relationships, you'll not be able to link these 3 tables and come up with those multi-dimensional kind of analysis. So let us close and apply, and then we go back here. So it's loading and our changes are going through. So it is now here, but we are on the report view, which is what we've been seeing all this while. Now these 3 here, it's interesting to talk about them right now. There's the report view, there is the data view, which we would also see subsequently, which is when you want to do like this, the pivot, the Power Pivot, because we talked about the Power Query, which was the transform that we saw. So if you want to go back to the Power Query, you click here, it takes you to the Power Query, and then we do the ETL, the transform that we just did, remove making some rows the top as the first column names and deleting rows. This is what the Power Query has done for us. Then now we can also have the Power Pivot, which we will see, and we'll learn how to add new columns here with formulae, and also DAX, the data analytics expression. So that's the language that is used to add the formula here. So that will be here for the Power Pivot. But now there is this relationships here, which is you can manage the relationships here. So as you can see already, the table has detected, Power BI has detected that the sales data has customer code, and the customers data or table has customer code, and the 2 of them seem to be related to each other. So that's why it has already seen this relationship. And when you click on this arrow here, you see that it's highlighted already the customer code and the customer code here. That is interesting. So this is where you start thinking of something like the star schema or things like that. So now we know from here that the staff matricule number, like this EMP001, is the same as this one here, staff code. just the naming is different, but staff code is equal to staff matricule. So now Power BI is not sure if this staff matricule here is the same as this staff code here. So how do we link these two? And like, as I said, like a VLOOKUP or a joint in SQL is just to carry either from the staff and drop on the staff code here, or from the staff code and drop on the matricule. Whichever way you choose to do will still give you the same result. So if, for example, I right click here, I can delete this relationship. Then now I take instead the staff code and I drop on the staff matricule. And then I see that when I click here, I have the staff code and the staff matricule. Or I could still click here, right click, go to properties. And then from there, I'm seeing that actually this is the staff code that is linked to the staff matricule. It could have been linked to the staff name, it could have been linked to the staff sex, but then you see it is already complaining that it doesn't see how this one will be linked to this one. And if we put it here, it's satisfied that this staff code looks like this matricule number. So if I click on OK, I have this now this relationship, which means that if I come now to the reports, I should now be able to pick from any table and drop, and I'm able to get, so I can take maybe customer country from the customers table, take revenue from this sales table. So let me just use this chart. So take revenue from the sales table, and then I already have revenue per country. So you can be able to see that already it is able to talk to each of these tables and anytime, because now they are linked to each other, and you can be able to see clearly that now, because of this relationship here, they all behave like one big table. So which is the same as when you were doing your VLOOKUP in Excel or when you were doing your joins in SQL. So this is the way to be able to connect your data sets based on, they have a primary key and a foreign key, and then you link them up together here. You specify which one is equal to which one. You know your data set, you link them up, and they could have been maybe even other things here like product. You can link them, product. There could be so many things that are linked here. Insofar as there is a primary key and a foreign key, you can be able to link these tables together. So I hope you have been able to learn how to use your relationships in Power BI, just like you learn how to use VLOOKUP to link several tables together in Excel, or you learn joins in SQL to link tables together. So this is interesting to have as an analyst, so that you're able to give multi-dimensional analysis and reports to your stakeholders. So see you next video. Wish you good data luck.